Oh, well, that blows. I took this off of the elaborate boom arm type of thing and put it in its little stand, and now it don't work no more. Which, after I put it in the stand, I tested it out and it worked. And I set it over there and I moved it, and now it doesn't work, and I can't figure out why. Because it's pretty much a plug and play type of thing. But these Blue Yeti mics are very expensive. Um, and they have that thing where only part of the mic is hot, so I can block out noise and whatnot. And also, apparently, wait a minute, the light come on. The light came on red. I don't know what that means. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that means. It's supposed to come on blinking and then come on red. So I don't know. Anyways, I should sound different now, I think. That my voice is pretty harsh and rusty this morning. I've been up for a while. It's like getting around 7 o'clock in the morning, and I don't feel particularly motivated. Um, and I'm very confused by this microphone. Um, Anyways, I went to the dentist yesterday, and my appointment was for 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was out of there at 8:09. So all they did was put in my partial plates, and I guess those were temporary. First, they did like the mold with the clay and stuff, and then they made like temporary plates, and then they're gonna make temporary plates off of these temporary plates. I don't know, people. It was too early in the morning, and I was out of there too fast. And the dentist came in there, and she was like, "Oh, I just jogged 4.1 kilometers or something like that." And I said, "You jogged 4.1 kilometers?" And then she explained to me how much that was in miles. Like I didn't get that that was a long jog. I guess she gets up and jogs before she goes and fucks up people's teeth. But get herself psyched for the day or whatever. But anyways, I don't see her out of like a coat or anything like that. And I'm like, it's extremely buxom woman, which is not really my thing. Just in case, it's just an observation. But I couldn't help but thinking, like, man, she got to have like the heavy duty like industrial sports bra for that to be comfortable. She jogged, she said ran. She didn't say jog, by the way. Um, she ran all them miles. That's just a random thought that I had. But anyway, she come in. I was there at work before her because it was an 8 a.m. appointment, and she came in street clothes. I never seen her like street clothes before. So, I mean, all she did is put on a coat and put these things in my mouth, take them out, and then tell me to come back in 2 weeks where I get the real deal. And they look good, except for they got the wire hooks. So you got like, I'll have like a wire hook, like visible here and visible down here. But I usually don't do the big, huge grin thing anyway. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter to me at this point. I got too many other problems to worry about for that to be an issue. So I come home and I just went to sleep. But when I woke up, there was more pieces of my ceiling on the floor, and there's like a steady drip. I don't know if it's dripping today or not because I got the fan on. You can't hear it unless the room's quiet, but it's like a drip. It was like a drip every 10 seconds, and I could hear it hitting the um, like like a dish pan that I had just to see how much water is actually coming down. And there's like a wet spot. I might as well show you. Put the light on it. But yeah, this is going to be an issue. Like I don't have enough issues. I don't know. All I'm seeing is a bunch of glare from my angle, but maybe it looks different from your angle. But anyways, it's like there's like chunks of sodden pieces of the ceiling that were soggy. That's what I woke up to. And like I said, I got kind of stood up as far as like that was supposed to be fixed already. But anyways, oh, that's really bright. No, shouldn't mess with it at all. Sorry about that. Anyways, so that's got to be dealt with, but it doesn't have to be dealt with right away. Uh, but I talked to my nephew. I don't know if I said this or not. I talked to my nephew, and he's got a sinus infection. He doesn't feel good, and he is uh, not exactly known for being a worker. I don't know. I told him I'd drop a C note on him if he came in here and helped me move some of the stuff out here, because I got to get like I just have to get this place rearranged, and it's just all there is to it. I mean, there's stuff that has to be thrown out. There's stuff that has to be put in the closet. The closets have to be arranged. It's all stuff that I need my legs for, and my legs don't work. I'm used to being self-sufficient. I'm used to figuring out how to do things for myself. For instance, when I was younger, I actually moved a recliner. I don't know if you know what a clean and jerk is. And get your mind out of the gutter. But it's when you lift and you go whoop, whoop. Well, I did that with a recliner, and I set it on top of my head like a African woman carrying something, and I walked around, and that's how I moved the recliner into my house when I was young and had legs and whatnot, or legs that at least worked mostly. Um, so I used to figure out how to do things. Like I figured out how to put that mattress cover on this mattress by myself. So I can figure out how to do things by myself. But if your legs don't work, your legs don't work. If you can't be carrying stuff without risk of injury, you can't be carrying stuff. It's like I've figured out, like, I mean, I could probably attempt to actually do this, but it just wouldn't be wise. But I got a heavy recliner type love seat thing that I've been wanting to throw out in the garbage. They even have the requisite plastic cover. The garbage company won't pick up any furniture without that plastic cover on it. Now I threw out a recliner where I just used plastic bags. Like garbage. I just cut up garbage bags, taped them together, and it was a big hassle just to save some money. But for this thing, I actually bought a plastic cover that you're supposed to use to store furniture in a storage unit to protect it. It's furniture that you want to save, but I'm going to use it for furniture that I want to throw out. But the point being is I've done this before where you can actually just roll a couch. I mean, you just pick a couch up, set it up on end, go to the other side of the couch, lower it down, repeat, rinse, repeat, and just roll it. And you can move a whole couch by yourself. I've never had a lot of help, and I've, lived by myself for a billion years, so you figure these things out of necessity. But if you got a bad leg and you fall over, and you can fall over just walking around, there's no figuring that out. So I was going, I talked to him, and I was like, maybe I can get him in here next week or whatever. And I just want to put this off. This is going to have to be dealt with, though, and I'm going to have to deal with the landlord, and I'm going to have, this whole ceiling ripped up, and it's going to be a big fucking deal, and it's going to be a big pain in the ass. There's no way around it. I also noticed like there was a wet spot over here in the ceiling. I'm not going to bother showing you that, and there's like a little tiny pinhole. But if the water comes through that hole, it will be, behind here where it won't hit anything because there's a little space behind here in the wall. So this whole place is fucked. That's why I wanted to get out of here. Just like a billion things wrong with this place, and you know, I can't. I'm not gonna run through the list. There's just a lot of things wrong with this place. But I had made that plan. Of course, I made the plan, and then told the guy about. Like I said, immediately that lady dumped a bunch of water and fucked up my ceiling. But now there's like a steady drip going on of some kind. I mean, I'd have to have the fan off to. I got the fan on it to kind of dry it out. I'd have to have the fan off to hear if it's still doing it, or what the deal is, or what's going on. But it's going to have to be addressed. But I'm going to stick to my plan and you know still live here. Uh, I gave my brother some groceries I didn't want yesterday, so I'm not like resentful that he didn't put me up for a couple of months to get me out of here. I mean, it's his loss. He's the one that's going to lose that money, and so it's probably for the best anyway. Uh, so what I have to do today is I have to call about my psychiatric nurse and say like, hey, do I have to come in there or can we do this over the phone? Because that's coming up on the 9th. I need 5 business days to arrange a ride to get there, or I can just reschedule it or whatever. But it should be able I should be able to do that over the phone. And then on the 13th, I have to go to the cardiologist, and on the 16th, I have to go back in and pick up my partials. And like, I really don't know what to do about this tooth or what the heck's going on with it. Um, but I'll ask about X-rays then. I didn't ask about it yesterday. Yesterday was like it all happened too fast. You know, I was like that. I even said and told her that this appointment was over before it started. And anyways, yeah. But yeah, that sucked waking up and then seeing like pieces of my ceiling on the floor and realizing like, hey, and that's still hanging by a thread, so that could come down. But I think it's just like a solitary drip that's just worn a bigger hole in the ceiling after that big flood that one day. But yeah, such is the joy of my life. Uh, but today the plan is to do what I can on my own without hurting myself. I don't know. I even have like a walker rigged up with a basket on the front of it, so I just can't be falling. You know, some stuff I can carry and then have a cane in one hand and carry with the other hand, but yeah, I have to get moving and do that. Uh, the weird part is like my brother is a worker, okay, but the problem is the last time I paid him to work, he gave, he either gave me bed bugs or it was a huge coincidence. So that's not happening. Ain't no amount of work or throwing shit out worth bed bugs again. So that's not happening. The roaches are making a comeback yet again in here. I don't know where they're coming from, but I gotta deal with that. But I'm on track. Like I said, my goal is to save up 10 grand uh, by the time October rolls around, which is a lot of money. If, like I said, if you get 12.48 a month and you're kind of on your own like me, I don't know. Like if I can count on the one guy to come in here, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do. If just leave it all fucked up looking, and but that ceiling's got to be dealt with. I mean, somebody's got to come in here and do something about that ceiling. That's all there is to it. And I don't even, of course, want to think about the landlord, let alone see him and have to interact with him. So I was hoping to get that like fixed up long enough, and then just see what happens, you know. And then in the meantime, get this place situated and cleaned up because I was living here like I was moving, which basically, like I said, meant that if I spilled something, I didn't bother cleaning it up because I ain't gonna be living here anyway. So, but that plan got changed, which goes to show you that never assume things. I've never learned that, having an optimistic nature. I've never learned that. I just figure like, well, things will work out. It's just stupid at this point, but that's just the way I am. I was like, well, if I have money and I have people helping me at this place, I should be able to find a place that'll work. But then I got the cat, and the cat gets mauled, and I gotta let him in pretty soon, and he's still recovering. And yeah, I don't know. All I know is I gotta get off my butt and do some stuff, and we're looking at like low 90s for like a week. It's gonna be pretty crazy. Like I wasn't hot yesterday. Uh, I didn't really use the AC, but I don't want to run up the electric bill using the air conditioner anyway. But if I'm going to be moving around and stuff, I'm going to need either do it early in the morning or with the AC on because, yeah, that's when having experience living here, I can do up to 85 degrees, no problem. But 85 and up, which is what it's going to be around here for the foreseeable future, like that's the 10-day forecast, 92 high, 93 high, 90, 91, shit like that. It ain't doable. That's, that's laying around not moving, drinking iced tea type shit, and but I got the AC so I can get moving as far as trying to do what I can in here, which my leg will of course hate and cause me a bunch of pain over no matter what I do. So, um, anyways, can't figure out the microphone. I'm gonna unplug it right now. I don't know if it'll screw up the video or whatever. But see, the end of it is bent. But I think it was made that way, to be bent. Can you see that? I think it was meant to be bent like that. So I should just leave it be, but it's kind of hard to tell. And I was thinking about it, and it's like, how would it get bent? It doesn't make sense that it's bent. So maybe that's the problem, and I can just replace the cord. I don't know. But there you can see the difference. Me mic'd and me unmic'd, if this works. Um, anyways, I don't have any particular, I don't know. I talked to let me try this again. I talked to the guy who drove me home from the 9-minute dental appointment yesterday about, some of the stuff going on in the world and the madness of it, but I don't know. I just don't feel like talking about that. It's just so stupid. And to see like how stupid it is. Well, the first example that you have to go to how stupid the whole thing is like none of us are telepaths, so none of us know what's going on in a white guy's head when he is uh, doing something to a black suspect. So the whole anti-racist movement is actually built on racism. Like, aha, white cop, black suspect, white cop, racist. It's like you can't have it both ways. So you don't know how he would act around it. The guy, if it was a white guy, a Chinese guy, a Russian guy, a Spanish guy, you don't know. So you don't know what's going on in that guy's head. As long as he's like yeah, not outright belittling people of color, which I guess is the current term used for people, the whole labeling thing is stupid to me, anyways. But they need to like look at these cases like case by case. But it's gotten to the point now where there's like Joe Rogan had a good phrase for it. He called it recreational outrage. But there's people just wanting to be upset about things, so they don't look into the circumstances involved. And they're so stupid they put up links to stuff, and then you look at the link, and then you look at what they're actually upset about, and then you read about it, and you're like, okay, this guy like carjacked two people. The cop thinks he has a gun, and according to the report that they got, he tossed a 2-year-old out of the vehicle like a sack of potatoes. So, and the guy's comment before he left a link to it is like they let this dog maul this guy for no reason. And it's like, no, the reason is he carjacked somebody and threatened people with a gun. So they thought he had a gun. So they sent the dog in there so they wouldn't get shot into this big house. For some reason, it had like 2 or 3 bathrooms. And the guy is hiding in a shower. I never saw somebody getting bit by a dog take it so well. It was very weird. I don't know if the dude was high or what the hell was going on. But usually there's a little bit of panic when a dog is biting the shit out of your arm, you know, and the officer actually had to put something in the dog's jaw and pry the dog loose. You know, there's blood all over the floor and stuff, but the guy's like taking it all very calmly. He's like, I can explain. It's like, if the guy didn't, you can make certain assumptions, like that was in this whole rant is an anti-assumption type of thing, but you can make certain assumptions like, why is that dude hiding in the bathroom in the first place? You know, it's like, why is he hiding? You know, and the dog was completely inept because it's like that dog should be fired or put on suspension for because the cop actually found the dude, not the dog. They sent the dog in there, and he's following the dog around, and the dog can't smell for shit. Apparently, it's just having an off day or some sinus congestion or something because he couldn't find the dude. The cops are the ones that found the dude, and then you know they pull back the curtain on the tub, and the dude's just hiding there. And then the dog's like bites the guy, and I love that assumption. You know, I love that people like support their arguments with like the worst cases ever, like the Ferguson riots. You know, that may ring a bell with you, but the Ferguson riots were over this guy that got shot, and he got shot running away from police, and he was a young dude. He might have been like 15, 16, 17 in there. The problem is the dude goes almost about 300 pounds. It's dark. He already robbed the store, and a cop rolled up on him because, you know, 300 pounds, a pretty big dude. There's not that many 300 pounders out there walking, so it wasn't like profiling, it was profiling NFL linemen. So, you know, the guy that gets shot, he actually leans in the window and tries to wrestle the cop's gun off of him. And, you know, they have dash cam and it's recorded and shit. And, like, they had riots over that because it's like it was another young black dude just minding his own business that got shot. But if you actually research the shit, you're like, okay, this guy is huge. They had video of him earlier in the evening robbing a store. The cops did not profile him because they got a complaint about somebody robbing the store. So they're looking for a big, huge guy that robbed the store. And he was so big, like, the clerk made like a lame attempt at stopping him leaving the store, and he was just like, man, get the fuck out of the way, like a swatting away a fly. So, you know, there's no way to tell that that's somebody under 18 years old. If he was, I mean, I know he was very young, and that was part of the outrage thing. And they always bring up this Tamir Rice case. Okay, the people. When I say they, I'm talking about your social justice warriors, outrage people. And it's like he had a gun that, or a toy gun that looked like a gun, and was pointing it at people, menacing them. So the cops roll up, and he doesn't drop the gun, and they have reports that somebody's menacing someone with a gun. So he gets shot. And he's like a 12 or 13-year-old kid that apparently don't have enough sense not to, you know, he just thought it was funny, like pointing a gun at people and scaring them. But when the cops show up, he should know enough to like throw the gun down, but he didn't, so he got shot. And they bring up these cases, and it's like there's very few cases out there where uh, people even bother looking at the circumstances involved. And the hmm, the cop's name was Chauvin. I remember that. And it's the George Floyd was the guy who got his neck kneeled on, which wasn't actually what killed him. What killed him is like he was slowly suffocated because he was on his stomach, and it was he was having trouble with expanding his chest. Plus, the medical examiner report, he had you know, heavily occluded arteries, which doesn't help because your lungs and your heart work together. So they call that cardiopulmonary arrest. which is different than a heart attack because a heart attack is actually called myocardial infarction, I think. So you got called. I should be trying to say this shit until I get my teeth back, or I get my fake teeth. Maybe when I get my fake teeth, I can speak better. But you got cardiopulmonary arrest, and you got myocardial infarction, which is a heart attack. So what happened to him is he got slowly suffocated because there was a cop there that said we need to roll him on his side, and the guy that was kneeling on his neck was like the veteran officer there, so he just wasn't listening. So it wasn't really the knee on the neck that killed him. It was the fact that he was had weight put on him. It didn't help. But you see, you got two arteries supplying oxygen to your brain, and so he was compressing one side of his head, but really he was slowly suffocated. Anyways, the point to that is like people do not go to that depth of research to research these cases. They see white and they see black, and they jump to a conclusion which is racist. So this whole anti-racist demonstration rioting thing is actually based on racism. So and it just keeps getting crazier and crazier. I believe I mentioned that if you haven't seen it, maybe I'll post a link. But they had that Chaz. Yeah, I talked about this before. They had the Chaz or Chop Zone where they chased the police out and they just took over this whole area. And the mayor was like, "Oh, we have things like this. It's not a big deal." Blah blah blah. She actually used the phrase "summer of love." And then they came to her house and spray painted her house, and she was like, "These people are domestic terrorists." So it's a lot different when it comes to your neighborhood. When you got like people coming to your neighborhood and causing trouble or spray painting your house. So the police went in there and they cleared that out either yesterday or the day before. So unless they're trying to set up somewhere else, they just cleared that mess out and retook the streets more or less. It was like a 7 block area. Um, I know I said I didn't want to talk about this stuff, but here I am. Um, so there's just a lot of crazy, crazy shit going on in the world. And it's like nobody's mentioning. We got like this uptick in coronavirus because I don't know, everybody's out on the street. Like I imagine they go home when they're not protesting at some point, and but they're like all mingling together. And it's like yeah, like 2 months ago we were like quarantined from each other, and we're supposed to like have this social distancing thing, and now nobody wants to speak against the protesters because it's a mob, and like they're trying to it works. If it works, the mob is going to keep being a mob if you keep appeasing them and giving them what they want. If you, it's like a child. If a child keeps whining and crying, and you give it what it wants, it's going to keep whining and crying. Because these mobs, they run on emotionalism, just like children. So if they're like, oh, we're getting results, they'll start pushing that envelope and seeing what we can do before they set the limits. So you got them pulling down statues. You got like the governor of South Dakota declaring that she is going to protect Mount Rushmore. Because it's just a whole bunch of crazy insanity that's built off of racist conclusions. That yeah, okay. This isn't the 1950s. I don't know if people know this, but it's not quite the same. And you can't look at a white guy and see what he's thinking and say racist. It just doesn't work that way. Just because, it's like I found a shooting. I don't know if you got the stomach for it, but I can post a link to it. But I found a real honest to God, unjustified wanting to kill a motherfucker shooting. And it was a white on white thing. So no big deal was made of it. But it makes like the George Floyd guy, he was 6'4" or 6'6" and like 230, 240 pounds. So they were having trouble getting him in the car, and he was fighting and kicking and resisting them. And so they had to pull him back out of the car. And then they, obviously killed him, murdered him. And at that point, it's just, it was just murder. But um, people, like I said, people don't research the whole thing. So I got in trouble by comment a couple of times, like, to do like struggles, it's pretty hard to put somebody's knee on somebody's neck inside the back of a cruiser. So he's already handcuffed, so they had no reason to do that, and that was a bad thing. But, uh, you know, well, actually, it's a sickening thing to watch. But this case that I'm going to post a link to, this guy is just looking to kill somebody. This guy is not struggling, he's not resisting, and he is minding his own business. Except for the fact that he was dumb enough that he had like a 177 pellet gun, which is basically a BB gun. And I think they got drunk and he was pointing it out the window. There was nobody saying that he was shooting at anybody, but what the police hear is very important. So a lot of times these are uninformed troublemaker calls that come in where they're like, guy's got a gun. They just see somebody pointing something out of a window from a distance, and I don't know what he was shooting at, but apparently he's in a hotel and he has a pellet gun, and they've been drinking. Him, there's in the video, there's him and a girl, but I don't know if there was anybody else on the scene. And he comes out of the hotel room, and they're loaded for bear because they heard that there's a guy in a hotel room with a rifle, and in this climate of mass shootings, you know, not a good, not a good thing. So, but the guy doesn't. The guy leaves the gun. He don't have no. Obviously, if it's a rifle, he don't. He's don't have any. It's a rifle was what the call was. But the guy was. If you want to watch the video and feel sick, I mean, it's not gory or anything like that. It's just there's like no blood in it or anything like that. But that's what a real, uh, totally unjustifiable thing happens. Now, you could say, like, if the George Floyd guy doesn't struggle, he doesn't get pulled out of the car, and he doesn't end up getting murdered. You can say that. People don't like to hear that. They're like, it doesn't matter. I was like, no, you don't understand. You have to look at the whole thing and uh, figure out why this happened. And he also had like a huge amount of fentanyl in his system, but they said that's a matter of tolerance. It's like, and plus he's a big guy. You know how like larger people can drink more because there's more of them to absorb, and maybe he's had a lot of experience with fentanyl. But fentanyl is 50 times more potent than heroin. And bringing it back to the benzo thing, that they were making fake Xanax and selling it on the street. And that's why it's dangerous to buy Xanax off the street. It's because there's fake Xanax out there that's laced with fentanyl that will kill your ass and has killed a lot of people. So when I was in a bad way, and I was buying Xanax off the street before I was able to get it legally, and then switch the volume. Uh, that was like I had looked at the pills and I looked it up online, and it was like I looked up like does this look like the real thing or not before I take it. Um, then I I had fentanyl when they did that scopic thing down my neck, and I'm highly resistant to fentanyl anyway because they were like asking me questions, and I'd be like, well, how do you feel now? And they can tell by the way you're talking and the way you look. And that was the only doctor's job. That's the only reason the doctor was there at all, is to like to look at me because they're administering fentanyl and something else to me, trying to get me in that zoned out colonoscopy type state because they're going to put something down the other end of me, down my throat, and they want to get you in that fucked up state where you don't care. And he kept just saying, hit him again, and they were like freaking out because they had to like shoot me up like 5 times. But he just sat there in a chair like he was fucking bored, literally with his arm crossed and his leg crossed. And he'd wait until they shoot me up, and then he'd ask me a couple of questions, and I would answer him clearly and succinctly. And he would just shake his head and like be like, "Hit him again." And then finally, he was satisfied that I was all fucked up, but that I still felt everything, and it was still uncomfortable. But yeah, I seem to be highly resistant to fentanyl, so that's just weird. It's probably like the morphine thing. It's like I'm sensitive to most drugs, but morphine wears off on me like real fast. So opiates don't have that big of an effect on me, and that's a synthetic opiate, fentanyl. So, anyways, how I went from the social climate of unrest and pulling down statues of Abraham Lincoln and worrying about Mount Rushmore, talking about pharmacology, I don't know. I'm just talking. The alternative to me talking is getting up on this freaking painful weak ass leg and like moving around boxes and trying to figure out uh, how to get this place ready for the day when I gotta have my asshole landlord come in here and fuck with the ceiling, which will entail him ripping up this whole ceiling and to try to find this drip, unless it gets worse, which is a possibility. But yeah, I was highly bummed out when I woke up and there was like stuff scattered all over my floor. Pieces of that, whatever that board's made out of, that gray board. And the biggest chunk was like about that big. And I picked it up and I was like, yeah, it's soggy. Then I heard dripping and it was like a one drop poop hit in the dishpan every 10 seconds. So it's not a shit ton of water. But yeah, what can you do? But yeah, it's hard to be a thinking person and watch all this stuff go down and just not shake your head at the stupidity of it. And then you argue with people and they got no good argument. They got no decent argument. They just get mad and yell at you, call you a racist. And it's like, you don't really know me. Not really. I don't really care about that kind of stuff. I don't. Yeah. My deal is, which I learned from living in, shall we say, multicultural neighborhoods, is just ignore it and just act like I always act. I don't like try to blend in. I'm not like, hey homie, what up? Or I'm not like, I'm just like me. Like, this is how I am. Whatever. Just ignore it. Don't even address it. That's why it was so fucked up. And the one dude was living here and he's like, just met the dude and he's like, I got a white girlfriend. And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not legally blind. That's what I said to him word for word. It was like what the fuck do I care? I'm thinking, like, what the fuck do I care? The hell kind of stupid shit is that? I don't care. Why would I care? And it turns out he was a racist. It's like he's a racist, banging a white woman and using a race card for why he got thrown out of here. Even after me and the landlord, well, really it was me. I was being compassionate with the dude because I was like, you know, the landlord left it up to me. This was a while ago, of course, before I got sprayed in the face with bug poison. But he was like, he says he doesn't want to pull his kids out of school, and there was only like a month left in school, and he doesn't want to move yet. He was hoping he could get a couple more months in, and he said, "But I'm gonna leave it up to you, because this is the guy that swung the door open and damaged the porch and was fighting a fucking couple where they're super crazy loud, just craziness." And she's the one that used to yell at the guy in the wheelchair through the door, you know, and she would just stop and yell at a door, So okay, but yeah, I was like, no, if it's gonna, if he's got to pull his kid out of school. I don't know if it was an excuse or not, because I'm not even sure like how often he saw his kids or whatever. He did that thing where he's like, uh, I insulted him or somehow like I remember talking to him about his kid, and somehow he got the idea that I was implying that something about his kid, and he's did the, there's a Chris Rock routine where he's like, I take care of my kids, but he actually said that I take care of my kids. Like I insulted him somehow. I didn't do the Chris Rock come back. You're supposed to, you dumb motherfucker, because the dude weighed about 250 pounds. He's like swinging doors open so hard it's breaking the outside of the house and shit, which is really what got him tossed out of here. My landlord don't give a shit, you know, about the noise complaints and stuff. That shit, man. But he pulled the race card when he moved out of here and said he was only get kicked out of here because he was black. According to the landlord, he said the guy pulled the race card on him. And yeah, it's just it's just weird to me that it's like I always point out the fact that it's like amazing how all these people have telepathy and can tell what all these white cops are thinking. You know, it's like you don't know what's going on in the guy's head if the guy is not like the guy is following procedure. He's not being a sarcastic, not even being a sarcastic asshole to a guy. And like the guy that you know the last hour video I did where I was talking about where he was they were real nice to that guy. They couldn't have been nicer to that guy. They couldn't have been nicer to that guy when the guy was beating him up. They were like, "Stop fighting, or I'm gonna have to taser you." Instead of like whipping out the taser, just tasering the guy. And I've seen other police videos where like this guy was pissed and he just tasered this guy for no reason. And you can't even say that that was a racist thing because you don't know, you don't, you don't know the guy. You have to kind of know somebody a little bit to tell if it's a race, if they're a racist or not. You can't just like see one incident where they're not using any, even if they're using excessive force. You don't even know why they're using excessive force. They might just be an equal opportunity sadist, or so it's yeah, it's crazy to watch. It's all crazy to watch unfold, and it doesn't make you particularly hopeful for humanity in general, because people are going all right brain instead of left brain. Your right brain's your emotional centers, and your left brain is where all that logic shit happens that people are allergic to nowadays. And my voice is getting froggy, but anyways, I'm just rambling on like I tend to do sometimes, and putting off walking and moving because I'm not real good at that. I'm really good at the stream of consciousness gab thing. I can't wait to get teeth to see if I can pronounce words more better because right now I struggle. Um, yeah, I should have tried that when I was wearing them yesterday, but she didn't give me time. She popped them right back out. I should have said a few words, you know, sacroiliac or carpophagus. It's like any kind of polysyllabic word that I got to test this out. I don't. She's like showing me what I look like in a mirror. I was like, I could give two fucks what it looks like. I want to know what I sound like. But I just played along and like, okay, whatever. Here's your mirror back. Like I should have been like just spouting off random polysyllabic words to see if I could talk in a clearer fashion and not stumble over my words. But it was kind of uncomfortable on the lowers. But she said those were, they can make adjustments, and it I plan on wearing them, like all the time to the point of discomfort before popping them out. Like the last time, just didn't like them, and I had teeth though to chew with and shit, but I just didn't like them. So I just took them out. It's like I don't know. I think I just didn't like the idea that I had to wear them. I don't know what the deal is with that, but I still actually have those in water, sealed up in a bag somewhere. But they made me a new set of them anyway. But I can't figure out my microphone or my microphone cord. But I think I will look up the cord online and see if it's just bent crazy, or it's angled like that on purpose. Because the way, I don't know. I know I got a really good deal on it because even getting a really good deal on it, that thing costs over $100. Um, and it came new. It came in a box, and it had like the boom arm, and it had all the bells and whistles. It had I think they call it a pop blocker, so you don't get too close to the mic, and your P's don't, you know, I don't know what the hell they call that thing, but the circular thing that you don't really even need. But if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, you'll see a lot of these blue Yetis. Mine's actually blue. A lot of people are use the black ones. Blue's my favorite color. So, um, okay, how long have I been babbling? I don't think I can even tell. 46 minutes. I rebooted my computer, which was a big mistake because it doesn't work any better. I wiped out all my programs. I didn't back up my files from my audiobook that I put tons of work in. So that's all lost. Um, that Escape from Freedom. It's a very long, hard to read book, and yeah, so that's all lost. I just was panicking because I was like, I don't really want to buy another computer, and this computer's acting like really slow and weird, but it's still acting slow and weird after by rebooted. I mean, I just wiped it out and started from fresh to where you like have a new computer. I think they call it restarting a computer. And, but if you got like a problem inside the BIOS, which I don't know that much about computers, but the BIOS is like the deepest level of your computer. Um, I could have a problem with that. It's not a slow computer. It's a pretty good computer, so I don't know why it acts like this. But I already got my money out of it anyway. I never expect to have a computer online for more than a year. They're disposable. The person lied to me about it and said it was like new though, and I'm like, how can it be like new and the N looks like a B because it's been pushed so many times that one of the legs of the N is worn off. It's like this is not like new computer, but it's performed okay for me. Got a nice monitor to it and did the job. Um, but I'm saving money, so I was like, oh shit, man, I don't want to have to buy a new computer and this thing that's acting horrible, and it still acts horrible. So it could be a problem in the BIOS, which I'm not even sure what that is. That's just a word to me that means something. What it means to me is something that's deep, so deep in your computer that you can't wipe it out. Um, they have a thing with computers called the blue screen of death. I've actually conquered the blue screen of death and brought a computer back after having the blue screen of death on it. But then it ended up catching a virus anyway that killed it. So I brought it back merely so it could die in a more painful, prolonged fashion. I should have just let it die. Um, but yeah, I brought it back to life and gave it CPR. I felt real clever because I'm not a technical person. I'm not mechanical. So anytime I can figure something out like that, I was like wow, man, that gives me a special pleasure because it's not my area of expertise. Fixing things. Like I said, I fixed my guitar that one time and I felt like a wizard. I felt magical. All I did was stick toothpicks in it to, it had wood loss. And it just, the jack plate where you plug it in at was loose and rattling around and stuff and causing problems. So I just unscrewed the jack plate and I saw this big hole there and I just jammed it full of toothpicks and wood glue. And then, you know, made something for the screw to hold on to. I had that guitar. I bought that guitar in 1996, and I sold it. I had it for mm, 20 years. And I sold it because I didn't know that you could. I thought you had to get the whole fret replaced. I didn't know that you could round off the frets. But I would have never sold it if I would have known that. I was kind of used to that guitar after 20 years. So, you know, I do regret that. But the frets were worn down and beat to shit. I just didn't know that. It's, again, ignorance will get you every time. I thought you had to replace and throw money into it and replace the entire fret. You can have the frets crowned and fixed. You don't have to, you know. I had a guitar. It was an actual very expensive guitar that I got for very cheap. That was a Gibson archtop from the 1960s, where I took it to a place and they had the frets were all worn down like that, and they cost $177 in like the early 90s or something to replace it. So I was like, I'm not really interested in throwing 170 odd dollars into a guitar that cost me $265 that I've had for 20 years. I'm gonna sell it. So I sold it for a couple $100. So, but now I regret it. Uh, yeah, I'm jumping all over the place subject wise. Uh, yeah, I'm kind of bummed out about the situation. Can't have my brother here because he gave me bed bugs last time. I'm pretty sure, but he would do all kind of work for me because he needs money. And but the other dude's got a sinus infection. He might come over next week. He might not. But yeah, I really didn't want to have to deal with this situation with this water and stuff coming down. But I thought I caught a break, like I said, when the woman said she just spilled a bunch of water. But yeah, something else going on. And obviously, this is a small room. That hole is actually like right at the foot of my bed. It just barely misses the foot of my bed. Like if the whole panel would come down one night, I would get hit in the feet by it. So it's really nothing I can put off. And yeah, so I got to get moving doing that. And, uh, and skipped my walk this morning to save my legs so I could try to move these boxes around and figure out my closet. Got a good closet with a nice shelf up there, and it's just like I get tired and walking. Uh, as bad as I am at mechanical stuff, the mechanical act of walking, I'm even worse at. So yeah, at least the microphone at least works because it's lit up. So the cord's not going to cost me that much, but this bad boy here, expensive. So that's good news. Um, I like my little microphone. It also has erectile dysfunction though, because you're supposed to be able to tell them. And yeah, maybe I'm missing a washer or something. I'm not a mechanical dude, but it's like if you want to tilt it like this much, it's gonna fall down. It's got to stand. It's got to be stood straight up. Uh, and they're not made to be like that. They're made to where should be able to adjust them and shit. So yeah, so sure, there's a lot of erectile dysfunction going on around here. I don't know if I'm exempt from that or not because I haven't engaged in that activity in a while. Um, at my age, it's kind of perfunctory, and in my situation, it's sort of a perfunctory act. I don't, it's like, well, it's time to do that. It's not good for your mental health if you don't. How long has it been? It's sort of like a maintenance thing, almost. You know, like combing your hair or brushing your teeth or something like that. It's like a maintenance thing. Like, there's a chance I might need that someday. So, let's make sure it works right. And, yeah. I guess that's just a sad statement of my situation. But I don't really have, you know, a lot going on here that's going to put a spring in my step, so to speak. Yeah, I got like too many things wrong going on, and yeah, it's it's like I don't have any problem like with my mind wandering in that process or during that process. It's just like I don't really. I don't know. It's sort of like playing music. I have to be in a good mood to want to do that. So it's like I haven't been playing my guitar either, and you know, guitar is kind of like a phallic symbol type instrument anyway. Have you ever watched any Jimi Hendrix videos? Uh, Curse him for causing me to play guitar left-handed. He pretty much demonstrated that pretty well. Uh, yeah, so I'll put up the video of I'll put up a couple of links on there of interesting stuff to add to this if this came out at all. And that shooting, that's actually nobody really, there wasn't any riots over it. Nobody really got upset about it. There was a little tiny protest over it, and there was like yeah, there's some interesting things around the case. But I'll put those links up there. I'm done talking. Um, and yeah, as always, I wish you well. And when I get my new teeth, I'll have to smile a lot and stuff. It'll be hard work, but I'll see if I can do it. And I guess I'll see you before then because it's going to be a couple of weeks before that happens. And hopefully my ceiling won't fall in. But I can't get on a step ladder, so there's nothing I can do about it. Um, but watch Rome crumble and watch the hole in my ceiling get bigger and pick up the pieces of the ceiling off the floor. Yeah, it's small wonder I don't want to shake and bake, man. It ain't no fun life. But anyways, it doesn't matter. Uh, you can always hang in there because something interesting could happen. Sometimes even stuff that's horrible, like I've said, it can be interesting. It can be bad, like you know, sort of like when I fell in the water when it was 38 degrees and had to walk home with the wind blowing. It's like it wasn't boring, you know. When they were shooting me up with fentanyl and then they were jamming that scope thing all the way down my esophagus, it wasn't boring. It was interesting. So some interesting things can happen. They don't necessarily have to be pleasantly interesting, but you know, uh, yeah, who knows? So that's kind of like keeps me going. It's like, what's going to happen next? That's the most important thing in any story. That's in any piece of fiction. It's like you have to be wondering like what's going to happen next. You know, that's the most important thing. If you watch a movie and you don't give a fuck what happens next, that's when you check out. You know, if it doesn't hold your interest and you really don't care about what happens next. But you know, my life pretty damn boring mostly. But if it's you, it's not quite as boring to. It's not exactly a fascinating story. The hole in my ceiling. But if it's you, it's kind of interesting. So you're kind of wondering, like, will I wake up tomorrow and just be, you know, woken up with a panel smacking me in the legs and like crud all over my bed, or like will water pour through the ceiling? Um, yeah, what ridiculous, stupid, appalling thing is going to happen next? So yeah. So my story from the outside might not be interesting, but from the inside, it's kind of interesting just to see where it's going to go. I don't expect it to go anywhere good, mind you. You know, that would be like ridiculous. I do have that degree of optimism I was referring to earlier, to where like, oh, I'm gonna move out of here, so I'll just like spill a bowl of chili or something, and half-ass clean it up because I don't give a damn about the carpet. And then I'm end up stuck here. I've been talking about moving out of here for like a goddamn year, and bad shit been happening that to keep that from occurring. And then like I was like, yeah, I just gotta go with the flow, man. And I'll just hang out here and save up buku money because I can live here really cheap. And then once I found out that it wasn't going to be, that's like I said, that was the big deal. It's like once I found out that the pocket maniac wasn't going to be hanging around, I was like, man, I can hang here with Stampy and the asshole in the wheelchair. And the problem is like it's all overgrown back there to the point where I can't hardly get any sunshine. And yeah, I got it's hard for me to get back there. And once you get back there and all you get is mosquitoes and no sunshine, that's not good. But like one day I was like, oh, it's about time. This is about time that I went. Uh, I think that was the day that I did the 12-minute video, as a matter of fact, where I said I got to go out and catch some of this sunshine. And then like I look at the deck, the neighbor's deck, and it's like covered in shadow. And I'm like, the trees grew that much? I mean, I was sitting in the sun the other day, and now it's like half in shadow, and you know the thing where you got the trees and you got the spots of sunshine here and there. Still be good, I guess, to sit out there and get some indirect sunlight or whatever. But I like to get my money's worth. I want the full sunshine. And if I'm going to sit out there in the sun and stagger around out there in the grass and hold on to I gotta like hold on to the side of the guy's house. He's got these weird like concrete things with broken pieces of pipe that are nothing you want to fall on, that you got to walk around. I don't even know what the hell they go to or what they were put there for. I imagine somebody sunk in some concrete and had some posts built up around there, like, I don't know, in 1975 or some damn shit, that they just like rusted. They got rusty and they just were broke off or something, but it's nothing you would want to fall on. So it's like, I really don't want to risk, like, you'd have to see how it's set up, but there's like a narrow way. There's these weird concrete things with these broken pieces of pipe that I gotta walk around. I gotta hold on to the side of the neighbor's house to get, and then there's no railing walking up the steps. And it's like, if I want to risk my ass, I want there to be like full sunshine. I don't want to be like having the sunshine hit me a little bit. It's like, it's boring sitting out there. I guess I could take like a laptop, and I think I can still get my Wi-Fi to with a laptop to reach out that far. If I can do it on the porch, I can probably do it on their deck out there. Um, yeah. Anyways, this is pretty boring sounding to me, so I'm gonna leave and say adios and see you when I see you. Goodbye.